Welcome to Real Estate on the Rocks, where you get top shelf real estate conversations served straight up, never watered down. Here's your host, Dave Snowberger.
And we are back in the studio today with Marshall Tucker.
Hello.
And the butcher himself, James Mendez.
What's going on?
There you go. First time here, banging his mic around on his coffee cup.
That's all right.
Not hitting the green
Spilling
button
on
to
the board.
record. Yeah.
Hey, it's red now.
Somehow, for 3 weeks, we've been off air because of James forgot to hit record all 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's pretty much
He's
that.
a virus.
Right. So today is a special day. You want to know why?
Why?
Because we've got somebody special in the hot seat over here.
Who's that?
That is Megan Turnipseed with Turnipseed Realty Network.
Real estate group.
Is it Real Estate Group?
Yeah, we had to change it, you know.
I just
rules.
butchered that.
You're good.
I apologize. It was the network though, wasn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Is that Trek rules? Is it really? Wow, that's
Trying to stay more kosher. That's all.
There you go. Okay, well, we got Megan Turnipseed here. Like I said, Megan is a top producing agent in the Austin, Texas area. She works a lot of farm and ranch deals, I would say.
Yes.
She's getting into developing.
Yes.
She is an absolute real estate beast, somebody that I loved running parallel with and made me, I would say, a better agent because she was always killing everybody. So I had to step it up because I couldn't be beat by a girl. No, I'm just kidding. But no, Megan's an absolute fantastic agent, and we're going to talk to her a little bit about just kind of her success and everything she's been doing in the business and where she sees herself going over the next few years with this real estate thing. And so we'll pop in every once in a while to ask you questions. However, Megan, tell us a little bit about you.
All right. So I've been doing this for, 11 years now. Got into the industry in October of 2008, which, if you guys can recall, was a really, really good time to start. So I was able to really learn how to work hard. A lot of people were getting out of the industry when I was getting in. So I was able to take advantage and learn from the people that were actually willing to work hard, and was able to have my first sale within 6 months. And from there was able to grow. I was right out of college. I graduated here locally from Southwestern University with my business degree, and for some reason decided to get into real estate right away.
Because it's easy.
Well, it was at the time. And that changed, yet I was able to grow with it because I had some really good roots and I had some really good support. So from there, to be honest, the first few years, I was pretty lame. I didn't really do a whole lot. It was just barely making ends meet. I was young. I was really stubborn, didn't really listen to the models, and had a lot of things in my head that I just couldn't get out. The fact that, you know, I'm younger, I may not know people that have like the net worth to like purchase a home. Everyone I know is renting. And so that was kind of, I think, what really kept me and capped me down lower than where I probably could have been. After I finally, woke up and got out of my own head.
What was the switch for you?
I had a really good coach and mentor that I actually realized that the way that it was set up, she would only get paid if I had success. And it was a small group of people that was working with it, and I really connected with her. And so that was a really big catalyst that allowed me to actually see what I needed to do. Once I started doing that, I was able to, in Keller Williams terms, cap and make that 100%, or make what I wanted to with my commissions, and make that, make and actually reach those goals I was working at for so many years, even being young and maybe not having friends that were able to buy homes yet. After succeeding for a few years there, I had a really great mentor who took me under his wing, who taught me a lot about farm and ranch. He handed his database over to me, and I was able to work that. And after, about half a dozen deals with him, I got a little bit more confidence and went out on my own with selling farm and ranch deals. And for me, I'm not talking about huge acreage ranches, these massive pieces of land out in West Texas. I'm talking about 50 to 150 acres here in like the Austin area. So with doing that, I was able to help with some small development deals, got in with builders, and just the growth has continued after the last few years, and growing my team has allowed me to do more and more on those sectors.
Nice. How many people do you have on your team now?
So I've got one amazing director of operations. I've got 3 licensed agents, and I've got 2 intern college students working for us.
That was always a smart thing you always did was the intern thing. We haven't been able to pull it off. I've thrown it out there like, hey, let's get into this intern program, and we find out everything about it, then we don't execute.
Yeah,
So
it's hard for me not to have that within my world, just with the outside stuff I do. Outside of real estate, I'm really involved with my university and the sorority. And so just being there, it just makes it a lot easier. Plus being a sponsor for the university, I get to be in front of the students anyway. So
very nice, very nice. Well, let's back it up a little bit and kind of hover around. You said the catalyst of really kind of, you started to, your business just changed right after the coaching program. So let's drill down on the facts. Like what did you start doing every day? You know, it just didn't come to you naturally. Like, oh, I opened my eyes and I just started doing more business. You know, you actually had to put yourself in action. What were those actionable items?
So I think the big discrepancy that I had initially when I was doing it and I was like, I didn't have that like click, was the actual prospecting and lead generation activities that I needed to do. I didn't know what they exactly looked like. I had a vague idea, but I didn't have anyone help sit down and implement what those would look like for me in my day-to-day schedule. So once we sat down and had one-on-one time to go over some of those items, I was able to break it down and actually create a plan. And one of those, it was honestly just a goal setting tool that we use within our company that allows you to break things down from a year to a month to weekly and daily goals. And between figuring out what those actionable items were and putting it on that tool, I was able to create a schedule, and I just followed that schedule.
Okay.
And I just did that over and over and over again. And it felt like I was just doing little bitty things. And I was, but it was a combination of those little bitty things.
Compound effect.
Over and over and over again. And after a year or two, I look back and I was kind of thinking, whoa, what happened? You know, I don't know what I should be doing on a day-to-day if I'm not doing these things.
Right.
When I didn't even have any clue what to do a year before.
Gotcha. What are some of those items? Was it more, you know, getting up in the morning and working your database? Was it cold calling? Was it, you know, just kind of working FSBOs and expireds? I mean,
so I do a lot of door knocking. I've found a small neighborhood that I really enjoy, and I've sold a good number of homes out there. And so after doing some small events, I was able to get my confidence and work that neighborhood. In addition to simply calling my database and working my sphere of influence and having a consistent way of reaching out to them through the year, whether it's phone calls, text, social media, mailers, and just really being consistent there. Those were the 2 big ones. It took me probably a couple more years to have the confidence and have like the thicker skin, in my opinion, for my own personality, for expireds and FSBOs and things like that. And I've definitely utilized them within my business, but I think my biggest 2 were the, you know, geographic farm and the database, because I was able to do a lot more things that were more me, and I was able to have more face-to-face and real interactions and not feel like I was selling. I was able to come from contribution.
Gotcha. So those 2 are your cash register, basically. Mm-hmm. Right. So I full-heartedly agree that I think that when we're starting out as new agents, we're just scattered everywhere. And there's so much going on, and maybe brokers or team leaders, or they don't know really, you know, they're kind of doing their day-to-day thing they have to do as the broker or the team leader or whatever else. And so they just say, go prospect.
Right. Go
do this. And what does that mean? So thank you very much for drilling down on that a little bit and letting people know. I know that you teach a class with Keller Williams called Never Ending Referrals.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
And so can you tell me a little bit about Never Ending Referrals?
So Never Ending Referrals is a program that was started by our awesome operating principal, Steve Schleter, a few years ago, and our market implemented it. And it's really just talking about contacting 2 letters each week. And you're able to, if you do that with 26 letters in the alphabet, breaking that down to a week, that's 13 weeks. You're able to consistently do that 4 times a year. And so it really makes it a lot easier to get through everybody and have a starting place and an ending place. And so they just have a systematic And there's different tools you can utilize within that. But it's just a way of making sure you're reaching out to your database and contacting everybody and not forgetting people and not having that call bias, because you know and you like Sally Sue and it's easy to call her and you call and talk to her all the time. But Bob, whoever, is down way on your list because you haven't talked with them in a year.
Right.
And the longer that you don't talk with them, the more you're afraid to call them because you feel guilty about it. It makes you call them consistently.
Okay, perfect. And let's touch on that real quick. Walk me through a conversation you have when you call your database. Obviously, I don't think that you call and talk about real estate every single conversation, correct?
Yeah, so I've got 2 conversations I'm typically having right now. One of them, if I'm not confident, if I don't have their address and I don't know that if they live right in the immediate area, I am reaching out and saying, hi, this is Megan Turnipseed with Turnipseed Real Estate Group. Just giving you a call today just to check in to see if there's anything going on in your world by the end of this year or in 2020 that's real estate related, whether it's potentially refinancing with the low tax rates, needing potential help with your taxes, anything of that nature. I want to make sure I'm here for you in between those sales so that I can be your real estate resource. So that's my generic script that I'll use, and voicemail, whatever have you. And then we also have a really cool event that we're hosting next month in our office. It's a sip and shop event, and we've got a whole bunch of vendors, and we're supporting local businesses as well as inviting the public. And so it's something that we really enjoy. And so with that, I'm using that as an opportunity to invite people that live within the area and just ask them to reach out to me if they would like a VIP invite via text or email, and what's easier.
Nice. So on the phone, do you find that a lot of your people aren't picking up? Do you back it up with text? Do you send an email? Do you do all 3, or is it just the phone call, move on?
I typically do the phone call right away, and then half of the people, those are landlines, and if they are, I'll send them an email. If they're not, I'll typically send them a text. If I haven't talked with them in 6 or 8 months, or it's like just this cold website lead, I might not at that point because I don't have that warm connection. Usually people I've met, I will do like multiple attempts.
Right.
That is probably me being lazy in some ways. I could follow up more.
Right. Okay. Well, that breaks down your business pretty well. Now let's get into, do you have your 3 agents operating the same way? Are you teaching the same skills? Or are you kind of just, hey, go out and work a lot of open houses, call FSBOs, call the low hanging fruit, the things that we can do right off the bat to get deals or get us into production? Right.
So each of my agents operate very, very differently in the way that they want their business to look. So we typically focus on them individually and what they're wanting to do. We've got the baseline of the goals, the expectations, and the habits that we want them to have, and we have that done on a weekly basis. And then from there, we do one-on-one appointments talking about what they're doing. Most of our team is much better with the face-to-face networking, and they're really struggling with maybe making some of the calls as consistently. So we're working on making sure that we're utilizing all of the other opportunities for them to talk with these people. And if it's just face-to-face, in my opinion, that's great. One of my favorite books is 7 Levels of Communication. Mm-hmm. And that totally highlights, the importance of face-to-face communication versus anything else. So if that's their best, I don't have a problem with that. Let's just get them in front of as many people as possible. So that's one of the items, in addition to they're working on geographic farms, their sphere. We do typically send, some suggestions for sell by owners or expireds and things of that nature.
Gotcha. You running a team standard at this point? I mean, do they have to, I don't know
yes and no.
Give them 90 days and really kind of a onboarding period of 90 days to come in, or is it just kind of, hey, let's just look at it in 30, 60, 90. That's what we've started doing. So just because we're fellow team leaders, I love picking your brain on this stuff. So
yes, so it's a little bit uncomfortable because there's things I would rather do and the ideal, and the things that we are doing. The things that we are doing are very close to the ideal, I would like to say. Yet it's not 100% standard across the board because we've got different goal sets for each of them. If they were all 100% all the time agents, mm-hmm. then we would absolutely have that. So each of them have their own sets of standards of what I expect and we talk about.
Gotcha. You guys monitoring them every week?
Yes.
Yeah, you're doing sit-downs with them, consultative interviews?
Yes, we do one-on-ones, typically at least twice a month.
Nice.
And then on a weekly basis, everyone's sending in their calendar, and then we talk about their goals and scripts and all of that as well.
Nice. Let's shift gears here a little bit. Let's talk about what keeps you really kind of motivated.
The
Put you on the
challenge.
spot.
Yeah. Honestly, what my business has turned into in the last year or two is not a typical everyday. Things are always changing for me.
Mm-hmm.
My projects, my clients, things I'm trying to put together is all very, very different. So I think I thrive on that. I don't like the mundane. I don't like the, repeating like over and over. And that's probably why I got into real estate, so that my calendar can be different and I can choose the different things that we can, focus on. So I would say having new opportunities to learn and help people that's different on a day-to-day basis. It's not boring and it's pushing you to grow, I think is what motivates me.
There you go. All right, so I'm gonna knock out some questions here. Just kind of, what's your greatest fear? Let's just go with business.
Failure?
What's your greatest fear? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Failure?
not making money,
There you go.
not supporting my team,
I like
not
that you
being
said
able to
not
pay
making
this
money.
one over here. I've got my director of operations here for support, and
Right.
like honestly, like she is such a huge factor in our team. Whenever anything goes awry, that's my biggest concern, not making sure she's taken care of.
Right. That's a huge concern, I think, with all of us. I think we both hit home runs when it comes to the director of operations position, and so yeah, that's one of my
You're
fears.
gonna grab it and not ever let go.
when I think about just kind of like, oh, we're not executing at the highest level, and I'm looking at bank accounts and things like that. It's kind of a lot of people worry about their kids or their house payment or anything else. The first thing on my mind is my director of operations.
Yeah, 110%.
Right? Sorry, Marshall. is really that, and how do I keep this going? And so
Right.
we don't really necessarily have much of that problem anymore. However, I think we all in this business have ebbs and flows, and
Yeah.
we kind of work with the market. And a lot of time we can stockpile money up through the ceiling, and then all of a sudden we go a month or two and we don't do what we need to be doing every day on a day-to-day basis, and just all of a sudden we start seeing
Well,
the
it's not
deals
only
go
that,
down.
it can be the things that can get you down. Last year I had a broken foot for 6
Oh,
months.
yeah, I forgot about
and
that.
Selling land and trying to get out there and doing appointments, that's hard. And so seeing that in your business financially a few months later is real rough.
Yeah.
Especially when you're itching to get out there and do it, but you're just actually limited. So things can happen.
Yeah, I get it. So I've been through a few of those
Yes,
things in
you've had
my
that.
careers, which suck, so obviously,
Yeah,
yeah. So we'll keep on the kind of rapid fire questions here. So what is your definition of success?
I would say success would be, at a moment in time, success would be being able to be really close to the goals at that point. So 80 to 100% of your goals to me is successful.
Right.
And the bigger picture of success, that's a real hard one. I'm not sure if I can answer that one right now.
Yeah.
I'm figuring that out, but at least in a moment in time.
Will you ever hit your goals, or are your goals so big that you'll always be chasing them?
I think there are opportunities that we could hit them, but I think it'll really, really push and everything would have to come together just right.
Right. So
In
we
some ways.
we try to do that just like you. I mean, you and I we worked closely for a few years. We were in the same market center, so it was just kind of setting goals that were a little bit bigger than you could reach, and I think that's what always keeps me motivated is to chase those things, and I think it's kind of the same for you.
Yeah.
And if we were to hit those goals, then they're not big enough, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
you
what we
always gotta
always
push
learn.
yourself.
Yeah. So let's see here. What would you like to be remembered for ultimately?
Helping, not just clients, agents, just being a resource and
Right.
helping people.
Perfect.
Not just the clients.
That's a good answer. And a lot of times people can get convoluted right there, whether this business is, to me at least, my opinion, is that this business is all about the profit. And that gets lost a lot of times because we're pressured by the rest of the industry, I believe, that's greedy. And so call me greedy if you want. However, we have to make a living at this. And that doesn't take away my service. It doesn't take away my desire to help people at a high level, and help other people achieve their goals. And I've always said that if I'm helping people at a high level achieve their goals, if I have my team over here, if I have clients over here and their goal is to get into a new home and I can help them facilitate that, and at the end I get paid out of it, and then I'm watching my money and I'm watching what I do with it, then there's profit involved. And so how do you feel about that? I mean, you did say a minute ago about making money, that this was really what you were doing it for. Most agents that we interview actually don't go that route because they're a little bit afraid of what everybody else is going to think about them. This business is basically a charity. And we know realtors that run basically a charity. They think it's a charity, that we just do this for the hell of it and to help people. There's more to it than that. What do you feel about what I just said?
So my goals are, we absolutely
I think you're an a-hole. No,
I agree. I mean, we need to make money, and those are my goals, to be financially independent, be able to afford and live a decent lifestyle, and be able to manage my time later on and down the line. But when you ask what I want to be remembered for, I want people to remember me for helping. I want them to know that that's where my motivation lies, not it's the relationships.
Right.
Even though I do need to make money, I'm going to consider that, but they need to know that I care more about them.
Right. And that's one thing that I've never taken away
and it's like
from you
it's an interesting balance you have to share.
I've never gotten the commission breath from you, as we always talk about. There's certainly realtors are out there that are always just kind of thinking they're all about that. And I'll tell you the truth. I mean, I talk about this. I was just doing it for the money. I didn't care about people's feelings or anything else. And it was just, I could slam deals and business was good. And I came in when the business was a little bit better. It's like, I mean, all I had to do was enter something in MLS and it would take an offer. And I'm sitting here walking around like I'm hot shit. It's like, you're not, dude. And it wasn't, we've had a couple hiccups in the market to where, the interest rates have gone up, and then you really see it takes a little bit more talented of an agent to sell a home that's not so just desirable. And so then when I started seeing things go past 60 and 90 days, it was like, maybe I'm not as cool as I thought I was. And just, I started to reevaluate things. And the more I learned and the more books I read and the more that I surrounded myself, and I'll speak for these guys too, that I had Marshall doing a lot of the same thing, was getting myself around agents like you and other certain agents in our market center that weren't necessarily all wrapped around the money. Let's not say profit, because I think everybody should be doing it for profit, but wrapped around the money. And I started, Keller Williams taught me that. I'll just say that. Keller Williams was great for my career, when I was with them. And so they taught me not to be so
good perspective,
just
culture,
yeah. And that's what they really taught me right there. You just nailed it on the head, was a culture. And I hadn't been a part of that. The broker before that wasn't really, they weren't culture driven. They were just sales driven. And, it was all, throw you against the wall, see if you stick. And I stuck. I was selling real estate at a decent level, but when I got introduced to a culture, like you were saying, and involved when I surrounded myself with other professionals that were doing this, and I believed in the culture, my whole perspective of everything changed.
Yeah.
Right. And so you were a big part of that in my life. So I do appreciate that.
Definitely helped me grow too.
Oh, thanks. What type of books are you reading and listening to these days?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to answer this because I actually have started reading back in the last couple weeks. I've been really bad on the last month or two. So Profit First, Rocket Fuel, which I have been slowly inching through. That's my own fault. And then I love the Jen Sincero books, the You Are a Badass series. The new one they have, it's a small green book. It says You're a Badass Every Day. Love that because it's super short, quick. If you're not a reader, you can grab it and pick up like a couple pages each day. But those are the 3 that I'm reading right now. Nice.
You can always hit Audible too, because I know that I read that. You recommended that book, You Are a Badass. I think at Making Money. Is that the backup second one? And I read that and I felt empowered. But it was definitely she gave me a different perspective also. So I've learned a lot from the books that you just mentioned. The Profit First, tell me a little bit about that book.
That one is I'll be honest, I'm just getting into the next page or the next stage that's talking about what this looks like, but the whole idea about the book is we've always had the concept of you pay your expenses, you pay your salaries, and then you pay your taxes, and then what you get, you take home, right? Well, this is completely turning it on its head and explaining that you need to make sure that you're taken care of and then go through those next processes. So one of the more poignant concepts that I was reading most recently was talking about the small plate principle. So when you, like, we've been trained to get large plates and we fill up our plates with food, right? And then diet people have talked about if you get a smaller plate and you fill it up, it's still going to look about the same to you, but it's a smaller proportion. Well, they're talking about doing that same thing in your business account because you're typically able to make do with a small amount. But then if you see a larger amount in your account, you start spending more and more. So if you take that away and you start making do with less, yeah.
There you go. Very smart. Very smart. So
yeah, I need to read more into it. Obviously, I'm not even.
Oh yeah, I mean that's kind of how books go. I start. If you looked at my Audible right now, I don't read. All right, so I can read. On contrary to everybody's belief, I can read. However, I can take in more content if I'm listening to books and podcasts.
See, I enjoy listening to podcasts. I get bored with books for some reason. That's why I've got to, and I don't.
If the book isn't compelling, I'm out.
Yeah.
But the great thing about books is that within the first 3 chapters, that's all the meat and potatoes right there. That's everything you need. Everything else before the end of the book is fluff. In my opinion, there might be some great tidbits they'll strategically place along to keep you engaged. However, books to me get really boring after about chapter 3, or get redundant in a sense.
You're not a Heidi at all.
No, not at all, not at all, not at all. So I go through books constantly. There's another one out there. I believe it's called. It's another profit book, but profit's not everything. It's the only thing. And so I'm really interested in that one. That's the one I'm going to go dig for in a minute. I'm out of credits, but I know my girlfriend Nicole has 6. We called Audible. She can give me 1. So she can't give me all 6 because she's stocked up with books too. But let's go with, do you have a mentor? I've got some questions that I had here on the table. It's interview questions for millionaires and billionaires, by the way.
Ooh, yeah. I like being
I pulled this when I first started. I think we're in number 85 episodes right now. Somewhere in there. We're in our 80s. 90s. We're in our 90s?
Yeah.
Okay, we're in our 90s on episodes. And I pulled this. This is one of the first things that I pulled right here off the internet when we first, the concept of doing a
podcast.
Right, we had one microphone in the table.
Everyone's leaning in.
Yeah, we were talking, and it picks up everything. And so, we've got our admin next door that's kind of like having conversations. And so we could hear her over there negotiating deals. We can hear the kids in the schoolyard next door playing. We can hear the mice going through the rafters up here. We don't have mice. But
James's stomach.
She's looking up like, what?
I was like, what's going to fall on my head?
James's stomach is probably the it makes the
What was
most
that?
crazy.
Horrible.
He never shuts his cell phone off. So I'll be like on this great tangent, just like all this passion inside of this tangent. And all of a sudden, James's phone goes off, and it's just like, oh wait, where was I? Yes.
It's a couple times he's looked at me. I'm like, my phone's off. He's like, whose phone is it? And it's his phone ringing.
it's my phone.
He's like, oh, wait, hold on, that's me.
Yeah, you can cut that out, right?
Yeah.
So, did I already ask about what was the biggest mistake you made along the way?
No.
Let's try it. What was the biggest mistake you made along the way? Mistake.
I would say I would call it more of a failing forward than a mistake. I feel
Love it.
I like that more positive term
Of course.
because I wouldn't take back doing this. I needed to do this. Just making a wrong hire early on.
Right.
And my very, very first hire did not work out very well. And we did not necessarily grow apart. I really had to fire her. And
Who was it? I'm just kidding.
nobody that you would know,
Really?
fortunately. Yeah. So yeah, that was probably one of the more hard mistakes that I made. I was just way too eager to hire, and I wasn't willing to be patient.
Okay, let's back it up right there. And you sparked something in my head. Let's talk about failure real quick and how important it is, because it's been a huge part of my career is failing, because I'm squirrel. Like, I'm a high D, and I have the worst case of SOS. This team does. My whole team does. Just shiny object syndrome everywhere, right? If there's an easier way to do it, if there's an easy button, we can just stop, right? And we failed at a lot of this stuff. And failure to us is accounting for a lot of dollars. So save our audience, some heartache with some failures that back in 2008, 9, 10, that might have affected you're glad you went through them, but save some time for people that, hey, cut this stuff out.
Biggest thing, since the market was a little bit slower and a little bit, I guess, more of a struggle at that point, and I was younger, and I did have commission breath at that time. I was willing to work with people that I didn't need to work with, people that treated me poorly, people that were unrealistic, people that weren't completely qualified, that I was like, oh, well, if we could do this and this and this and this, we can get you a house. Well, how realistic is for all of those things to line up and for all of those stars to align? So I think one thing is making sure you're respecting your time and you're not giving too much to people who aren't serious and willing to do that. And then other than that, failure is absolutely required. I mean, you have to fail in order for you to learn and move forward. If you're not failing, you're just getting really, really lucky and you don't know how you're going, that you don't know your direction.
You're not pushing yourself.
No. And you have to fail because no is a part of the world. You're going to hear no, and it's not no, never. It's no right now.
Right.
Keep going. Keep going. Another direction, another time, another way.
Nice. One piece of advice for listeners out there. I mean, if you had one thing to do as a new agent, really to kick off your career, I mean, what would you double down on? What would you, let's use buzzwords, like what would you 10X, right? So what would you do that would just make a difference within the 30, 60, 90 days of starting your career? Because we all know that's what sets our mindset, right? I mean, that's what gives us that thought. If we can't do something in 90 days, typically we start having that doubt. The people around us, our loved ones, our people that were supporting us through this whole thing of getting into real estate start to doubt us a little bit. We don't have any money. What is that just one thing that new agents need to just double down on?
They need to set their goal and chunk it down into bite-sized pieces. And if that means, if you can't do that and talk and figure that out on your own, which many new agents probably can't, find a mentor, someone who has been there and who's done that, and help you chunk it down so that you know what you're doing each and every day.
Gotcha. Open houses?
I think they're good. I use them a lot for my builders.
Oh, just kind of for that new realtor. What is that one thing? Because the
thing
goal
about
thing
open
is
houses?
fantastic. No, the goal is fantastic. However, the action.
That wasn't what you were asking.
No, it was. It complements that. We just kind of did it backwards. No big deal. It happens. I confuse people a lot with my questions. But it's just kind of what's the item you think? What do you think? It's open houses? You think it's prospecting FSBOs and withdrawals and expires? That's harder now.
I think it's your sphere, and I think it's
the
the people you know.
Yeah.
It's people that know and trust you. If you have had some sales or some experience in real estate or in a past career, go to those people that you've had that relationship with because they know and trust you. You don't have to win them over. All you have to do is remind them you're in the business, ask them, and let them know that you're there for them. So that's really important. If you want another type of activity, open houses are really great as long as you make sure you have some other activities to do and you know that you're not just sitting there waiting for people. If you're doing it the right way, you should be super, super busy. Yet, if you're not, you should have a backup to make sure that you're productive during that time.
Right. We try to keep it at 3 at least, income producing activities, direct income producing activities, what we call those, DIPA, and open houses rank right up there. FSBOs are pretty much the second, and then the sphere is right in there too, is letting everybody know you're not a secret agent. You have to let everybody know you're in real estate. And I think so many people are afraid to let the loved ones at least know and their sphere know because they're afraid of making a mistake. What if they do want to buy? What if they do want to sell?
Well, usually, a lot of people are talking to them about other things not involving real estate. And I know for me, sometimes I get in just this world where I'm ready to turn off real estate when I'm doing social stuff with friends or family or other things like that. And I need to remember those are you need to turn it on for just a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Because those are the people who you're going to get business from. And they're the ones that probably need the help, but just don't know exactly how to ask for it either.
Yeah. I always like to keep it like everything else, 80-20, but really the more that I read, it's really kind of a 93-7 rule. It's kind of keep it 7%, real estate and 93% personal. And so our phone calls roll, when I'm working the sphere, not working, just checking in with everybody and kind of doing my own version of never ending referrals is calling and just say, hey, how you doing? You know, I haven't talked to you in a while, was in your neighborhood. And it's not a lie. I mean, more than likely I was in your neighborhood where I sold you a house, you know, because I work the same area. I work Williamson County in Austin, Texas, you know, so I'm always in the area. So I have better luck with that. And a lot of times we turn over the phones and turn on the camera and just say, hey, what's up real quick, and do a quick 20-second video.
Yeah.
And that one's dividends for us. I would recommend that really to anyone.
You're great with video.
So thank you for that. It's still that thing after 2, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it is, of turning the camera around and talking in front of it. You're still kind of like, you know, just kind of, does that suck? And then if I watch it 2 or 3 times, it never makes it 2. Yeah. You should see my phone. It's stocked full of videos that I've never actually put out there. But you guys have started doing some video, haven't you?
Yeah, we honestly, our listing and our property videos have been our most robust. We're working on doing more face-to-face stuff. So.
See, I kind of got away from it a little bit. We kind of got away from it. Sorry, Goose. Was stop posting so much stuff about, once again, real estate. I was getting kind of some feedback from people, and I put a question out there on Facebook, and I was surprised of how many people actually answered and was like, yeah, dude, you're posting too much real estate. So I backed it away. I'm
just posting it mostly on our YouTube channel and then occasionally on other outlets.
Right on. Yeah, you know, we like to do a lot of food and things like that. So I like to indirectly, keep it 93% fun, and then 7% real estate is mention something in there that we're realtors. However, don't talk about real estate. That's just my big thing right now, is that I don't push real estate very much. You know, and it doesn't seem to be affecting sales, which is good. Yeah. You know, so I think really my new saying is that everything works and nothing doesn't. Right. So if everything works, I mean, pick something you like and you enjoy. Right. Out of all your lead generation processes, what's the one you most enjoy?
My database. Yeah. My Sphere.
I'd figure so. How many people you think you're working in that database? Do you level them off? Do you have your A's, your B's, your C's?
So I've got yes and no. So I have a list. We do pop buys occasionally. Throughout the year, I would say those are probably going to be my A's. And it's probably because they're more local and I've been able to touch them a little bit more with some of those pop buys and physical items. So that's probably my big group. And I've got probably at least 40 or 50 of those that are really strong. And we're still, I don't know, probably at least 4 or 5 deals a year, if not more, from them. And then otherwise, it's a little bit less. A lot of our business now has also been from realtors and other agents that we're helping with. Nice. Just here in the local market. So it's a little bit of a different avenue we're taking, but we're doing it the same way, loving on them too.
Right on. Yeah, he's huge in the referral game out there. So we absolutely love that part of the business. All right, guys. Marsha, you got anything?
Yeah, where do you see yourself in the future of your business? Do you plan on working in it, or do you see an exit strategy for yourself? Or
I'm potentially seeing an exit strategy in about 5 years of having team members run more of the business and focusing more on education. I've got a class that I teach with truck, and so I enjoy that farm and ranch class in addition to some of the other avenues that I'm going down and regarding land. So exploring what those options look like, but I think teaching is definitely going to be in my future, and doing additional projects and such that we've got going, whether it's builders, developments, things like that.
Sounds good.
How many hours a day are you pouring into real estate?
Usually about 10.
10?
Yeah, 10 to 12.
Yeah. I'm always interested in
she's nodding her head really big over here. Yeah, 10
I'm
to
always
12
interested in the schedule of the real estate agent. You know, what time does your day begin?
I am not an early riser. Usually,
you just rolled out of bed and got here.
usually about 8:30 is when I'm like actually starting to work on stuff.
All right. It's about what we do.
8:30. I wish I could sleep to 8:30 every day. But all right, so let's go ahead and start the descent here into ending this episode. So Megan, why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of how we get a hold of you for the other agents out there that might want to, if you're up for it, pick your brain or talk to you a little bit about a career maybe within Keller Williams or sales or starting out. I mean, I know you identify with we have a huge following in the female presence. Obviously, all these bow hunks over here, you know. So
yeah, you gotta draw them in.
Yeah, right.
So yes, you can probably the easiest way to contact me is by email, and that's just Megan, Megan. Last name is Turnipseed. You won't forget that one. So TURNIPSEED at kw.com. And I would really love if you guys have any questions about farm and ranch properties, about just the way that we were able to grow our business. I'd love to help out there. A lot of things that I've been working on recently have been consulting and working with other agents on some more unique farm and ranch properties, acreage tracts, and things like that. So if you've got something that you've got some questions on, or if you're curious about how we did our small scale ramp up with our geographic farming, love to help on either of those topics.
That's awesome. We certainly appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Real Estate on the Rocks. All right, if you'd like to get a hold of us, you can text Top Shelf to 88000. Remember that, Top Shelf to 88000. Remember, we are EXP agents on this side of the table at least. And if you want to find out more about EXP, you can always text Join EXP to the same number, 88000. And we will get back to you as soon as possible. So for Real Estate on the Rocks, I'm Dave Snowberger. Marshall Tucker. What are you pointing at?
You forgot Mike. Money Mike.
Shoot. Mighty Mike. No, that's Mighty Mike Movers.
Money Mike.
Money Mike. Mike Harrell. Don't forget our sponsor, Mike Harrell. What's his Magic Mike at 88000. If you want to get a hold of Mike, it's Magic Mike at 88000. Guaranteed rate. See you next time.